Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video, and we come to our last Alien film, part of the Alien Review Marathon. Yes, yep, the last one, and which at the time, this being the, current last, Alien film until, well, Alien Romulus. So yeah. Yeah, and, I'm glad to have finally seen, at the time, the last one, and, yeah. And, honestly, this one, I didn't think it was that bad, and from what I can tell, and, from the reviews and so on, it's mixed, yeah. I can understand that, and, it may not be the best, and, and can definitely not top off the first two Alien films, and, it's not as bad as, say, some of the other ones, like Alien 3, Resurrection, and, they technically don't count being canon, but still, to mention them, the Alien vs. Predator films, just like how James Rolfe, aka the Angry Video Game Nerd, how he felt on this one Alien film in the Alien franchise. And seeing as how, this is a follow-up to Prometheus, and, well, this one Alien film, it takes place 10 years after Prometheus. That's right, guys. I am finally reviewing, and again, the last Alien film for the Alien Review Marathon from 2017, Alien Covenant. Yes, Alien Covenant. Again, I don't think it was that bad. I thought this was pretty good, and where the story was going, and what it had to offer and such, and with some pretty good characters, I think. Of course, the human characters, and a few familiar faces. Well, I mean, mainly just one of them, and that, of course, being Michael Fassbender, but more on him. Yeah, because, I gotta say, 2017 was quite a big year for 20th Century Fox. Well, because along with this, two other movies from two other big franchises of Fox, Planet of the Apes and X-Men. Because that same year when we had this, we also had War of the Planet of the Apes, that one, and Logan. And technically, all three from those three big franchises of Fox, I guess you could say they were the grand finale or something. As of now, especially, because 2017, that same year, well, because slowly but surely, plans for Fox to merge with Disney, and, well, in other words, Fox becoming a part of the Disney family. And sure enough, when Fox did become a part of the Disney family, big changes would happen to the studio. No longer being called 20th Century Fox, and some upcoming projects of Fox, films from Fox, being canceled, and some of them being, from the Alien franchise, because after Alien Covenant, Ridley Scott, who directed Alien Covenant, he stated that there were considerations and plans for a third Alien film, and of course that being a follow-up to Covenant, and possibly a fourth Alien film. But, unfortunately, and as of now, plans for two more Alien films following Prometheus and Covenant did not happen. But thankfully, well, the Alien franchise coming back again, of course, with Romulus. So yeah. So again, Covenant, I don't think it was that bad, and, yeah, and definitely, because, with what happens at the end of the movie, and just wow, and watching it as of now, and just, yeah, but of course until I get to the ending, but anyways. Also, another mentioning of Fox, because, well, yeah, with this, Logan, War of the Planet of the Apes, well, and with Logan, because, well, with the exception of, Dark Phoenix and New Mutants, well, for a lot of people, I should say, and I would agree too, Logan being the true finale to the X-Men franchise of Fox, definitely. Okay, so enough said, and as always, read the description / the story. Bound for a remote planet on the far side of the galaxy, members of the colony ship Covenant discover what they think to be an uncharted paradise. While there, they meet David, the synthetic survivor of the doomed Prometheus expedition. The mysterious world soon turns dark and dangerous when a hostile alien life form forces the crew into a deadly fight for survival. Okay, so getting into the film itself, because I forgot to point this out in my review of Prometheus, because the fanfare is still the same of 20th Century Fox, but the logo, of course, it's still the same, but the tone of color, it's a bit different. And if you've seen Prometheus and this, you know what I'm talking about. And I like that sometimes. It's pretty good in some movies where there would be a slight change to the logos. Like I can think of, say, Disney has had plenty of those. I think Universal might have as well. I have to go back and look. And for 20th Century Fox, yeah, they've had plenty, like with Alvin and the Chipmunks, the Simpsons movie, and Tim Burton's Edward Scissorhands. It was snowy, so you get what I'm saying. Take those for example. And the opening to this, we once again get the appearance of David. Yeah, David, once again being played by Michael Fassbender, and we also get a cameo appearance of Mr. Wayland. Yeah, Mr. Wayland, who, appears in this, once again being played by good old Guy Pearce. We see a young Mr. Wayland, and, it's obviously like a flashback or something, like David's beginnings, basically. Yeah, and, because Guy Pearce, he's one of the cast members of this Alien film that's uncredited. And there's a few other familiar faces who are uncredited, but I think because we know who they are, so those who are uncredited. So anyways, the opening to the film, and with seeing David and a young Peter Wayland, Guy Pearce, pretty interesting. And again, this was David's beginnings. And then we cut to present time of this movie, and again, taking place 10 years after the events of Prometheus. This time, we see the colony ship, and which being in the title of the movie, the Covenant, and the total of crew members, 15, and there are a lot of colony members, people, in hypersleep and such, and we see another android who looks exactly like David, that being Walter. Yeah, so Michael Fassbender, not only coming back to play David, but also plays another android in this Alien film, which being Walter. One difference to Walter, of course, he looks the same as David. However, his accent. He's not British, because he's got an American accent, like this, or some, I don't know. If you've seen the movie, you've heard how he talks. So anyways, and in Prometheus, because, like David, Walter being the only one that's still awake and such. But, pardon my French, shit happens, basically, because, the way that the Covenant ship looks, pretty cool, and how it has this type of sail, you've seen it, so it's pretty cool. Like a shockwave or something hits the ship, and, causing the 15 crew members of Covenant to awake from hypersleep, and because of what's happening, and trying to get the ship fixed and so on. However, one of the 15 crew members sadly meets his demise, and that being Captain Jacob Branson. Yeah, because the movie establishes that he was captain, and being played by uncredited James Franco. Yeah, James Franco makes a uncredited cameo appearance in this film. And if I'm correct, yeah, because obviously deleted scenes from this movie, probably one of them, and I saw a still shot of this on its IMDb page with James Franco, I assume, because, a deleted scene, maybe one or two, I don't know, where, you know, we do see Jacob some more, and, you know, obviously James Franco having some dialogue, yeah. So again, James Franco playing the uncredited, his uncredited cameo as Jacob Branson, and one other crew member that's desperately trying to save Jacob is Daniels, being played by Catherine Watterson, yeah, and I recognize her because, yeah, a year before this, well, she was in Fantastic Beasts, the first one. You know who she is, and well, because her being in the Fantastic Beast films. So after doing that, she would wound up in the Alien franchise. So Daniels desperately trying to save Jacob, and it is established a little later on, because yeah, they were in a relationship, and how devastated she is, and especially because, you know, him still in his tube, you know, hypersleep, it sets on fire, and he's burned alive. Jeez. And of course, sadly, he doesn't make it. And, well, because they have a ship crew meeting, you know, and now whom is to take the position of captain of the Covenant is Orym, if I'm saying that right. Orym being played by Billy Crudup, if I'm saying the last name right. Again, you know me sometimes, so now he takes position of captain. And well, we find out that the Covenant's coordinates and destination, the crew of the Covenant's, their mission is to find a new planet. And yeah, as I read in the description / the story, yeah, because, like, they're looking for a planet called Auriga 6, I think I'm saying that right, and, you know, start life there. And Daniels was going on to Walter about how she had dreamed and hoped for both her and Jacob that they would build a cabin, and build a cabin with their very own hands, you know, the old-fashioned way with wood and so on. But sadly, that would not come to be for both of them, because after what happened to poor Jacob. And things are not looking pretty good for the new captain, because, well, there is a funeral ceremony for Jacob, and just like how it was done in the first Alien film, what was done for John Hurt's character, you know, his body being wrapped up and such, and being, you know, blown out into space. Yeah, this happening in this. And by the way, speaking of which, because the timeline of Alien Covenant, taking place, I think, 20 or 21 years before the events of the first Alien film, yeah, so, you know, it was not that far away, like, when Covenant took place, and after that, years later, the events of the first Alien film would happen, you know? And if you guys know that. Yeah, and after, yeah, because with the funeral ceremony for Jacob, well, Orym is not happy about this, and there's one moment where, he speaks about this with his wife, yeah, Karen, if I'm getting that right, being played by Carmen Ejogo, if I don't think so. I don't think I'm saying her last name right. Again, bear with me. Because he can tell that, well, the crew of the Covenant, you know, they don't like him and such, but his wife, you know, assures him and convinces him and so on, you know, and she makes a good point to, you know, to her husband, so setting him straight. And at one point, a little later, we see that, well, they are, some of the crew are fixing the sails, and one of them, I believe it's T, yeah, Tennessee, T for short, and he's played by Danny McBride. I believe, yeah, it's him, because I think, yeah, because he's really like the only bearded crew member on the ship, because he, out of nowhere, he receives something in his space helmet. Like, and it's a rogue, according to them, it's a rogue transmission, and they try to figure out this rogue transmission, and they can just about hear what the words are. And Tennessee, he can recognize what some of those words are. They're from a John Denver song. Yeah, I'm saying the name right. Yeah, John Denver. And, well, because they find the coordinates where this rogue transmission is coming from. And, this planet that's not far from where they're at right now, it'll take a few weeks to get there, Planet 4. also referred to as the fourth planet, the Engineer Planet and Paradise. And it was the planet that the USCSS Covenant, on its way to Auriga 6, it was set out, and they receive the transmission, and they make their destination. In fact, the new captain, he basically just, like, screw the plan, like, screw our plans and mission to get to Auriga 6. We're going to follow this rogue transmission and so on. And this doesn't please Daniels, and there's a moment where she has a private talk with Auriem, and she sets him straight because of, as of literally out of nowhere, as of now, just giving up the mission and plans to find a planet where they can find paradise and call it home, and what Daniels was dreaming of for both her and Jacob, to build a cabin in the woods. But Auriem, no, because he's like, no, he's like, to hell with that, because we're gonna follow this road, where this rogue transmission is coming from, and just go there. Yeah, so that's what happens. So thus that's what they do. Okay, and also another fun fact. I'd almost forgotten about this when I was watching the movie, until I recognized some of the bits and pieces of the music and score. At the beginning of this movie, this Alien film, they actually reuse some pieces of score and music from the late legendary Jerry Goldsmith, his score on the first Alien film. Yeah, and maybe some of you know that and realized when watching Alien Covenant. That's pretty cool. So, nice to see that, reusing some bits and pieces of music that Jerry Goldsmith had brought to the first Alien film. Yeah, nice. So again, they make their destination to the fourth planet, and when they arrive, because, well, some of them going down to the planet's surface, while the others, they stay behind. And those that stay behind on the Covenant ship, well, Tennessee being one of them, and by the way, because he's a married man too, married to one of the crew members, Ferris, so Tennessee, he stays on board on the Covenant ship, the main ship, because they take another, like, shuttlecraft and such down to the planet's atmosphere, the surface. So the other ones that stay are Rix, being played by Jussie Smollett, if I'm getting the first name right. Maybe, I don't know. And Upworth, being played by Kali Hernandez, if I'm getting that right. Yeah, so they're the only three that remain behind. While Ferris, Kareen, I think I'm saying that right, Kareen, the wife of the new captain, Lope, and, Daniels, obviously, and the captain, of course, Walter, and also Ledward, being played by Benjamin Rigby. There's also Halliot, he's another bearded guy crew member, being played by Nathaniel Dean, and there's Anchor, being played by Alexander England, and there's Cole, being played by Yuli Latukiuf, I don't even know if I'm saying his last name right. And there's also Rosenthal, being played by Tess Humbridge. Yeah, so they all go down, and so thus, the adventure on the fourth planet begins. But boy, if you had, of course, anybody who had seen all of the Alien films, and up to this, that obviously something bad is gonna happen. Yeah, so anyway, so they get down, and they explore around, and one of them recognizes one thing that's in the grass field, wheats. Yeah, wheats. And because some of them splitting up, and because Ledward is with Ferris, and even because the main captain just telling Ledward to just, don't do anything to his wife and stuff like that, being very protective, and, how much he loves his wife, understandable. And to go ahead and come to this and to speed things up, because, this is where, slowly but surely, all hell breaks loose, because with Ledward and Halliot, yeah, because, well, some of them, they stumble upon, like, these, like, I don't know, like these like plants or whatever they are, and they step on a few of them, mainly Ledward and Halliot, and there's this dust, and apparently this dust, for Ledward, it gets in his ear, and it goes inside further into his body, and for Halliot, well, that dust, it got into his nose, and oh boy, because wherever this is going, just not good, not good. And then, slowly but surely, both of them start to not feeling so good. And yeah, because again, Ferris and Ledward, they're the only two that remain behind because, they're doing something. Also, Ferris, I'm sorry, because Kareen, have I been saying Ferris and Ledward? I'm sorry. Kareen and Ledward, while Ferris, she remains behind in the shuttlecraft. My bad. Well, because again, slowly but surely, Ledward and Halliot, they start to not feel so good. I mean, they seem to be doing okay a little, but the more it gets to them and it's spreading, yeah, and something in that dust, and what's inside of their bodies, oh boy. Well, starting with Ledward, because he was the first to get a whip of that stuff, he's really not starting to feel good, and Kareen basically calls out to Ferris that, they're coming back to the shuttlecraft, and well, because they're all, the other crew members, they're informed on what's happening with Ledward, and, well, the same thing is starting to happen to Halliot. Even, this is reported back to the Covenant ship, the main ship out in space, and things just start to get worse for Ledward, and they're making their way back to the shuttle, and, just getting him to the sickbay room. And by doing so, just, again, Ledward just keep getting worse and worse, and just, it's just, so bad. Even Ferris, she starts to panic, even locking the door on not just Ledward, but Kareen, she's still in there. What was Ferris thinking? Well, clearly because, the fear inside of her, and just, yeah, understandable, but, just too scared to unlock that door and to let poor Kareen out. Still, just things getting worse, and what happens next is something bursts out of Ledward's back, and, well, that's the end of Ledward. And, well, because it's obvious that, has to be something xenomorph-related, and that's what it is. And so then, poor Kareen, she's trying to shoot down this newborn xenomorph. Very different looking. I mean, it's still a xenomorph, and with, the shape of its head and such, but a little different, of course. As we've seen before in some of the past Alien films, how there are some of the xenomorphs that look a little hair different, because, well, they can morph sometimes, and I've explained this. So again, Kareen trying to shoot it down, but sadly, she meets her demise when the xenomorph kills, poor Kareen. And then, well, Ferris trying to, shoot down the xenomorph as well. And then things just getting out of hand, and she accidentally shot some other part of the, one part of the ship and such. And, well, the rest of the crew trying to make their way back to the shuttle, and even, the new Captain Orem, because he's getting worried, and especially about his wife, and, well, for Halliot, well, it's just getting worse for him now. And then, because of what Ferris did, caused the shuttle to explode, and, well, sadly, poor Ferris, she was killed in the explosion, but thankfully, well, actually, no, because if I remember correctly, the xenomorph did survive the explosion. So, after that, well, Halliot just getting worse, what's inside of him, and then, sure enough, a xenomorph bursts out of Halliot's chest, and them trying to shoot down the xenomorph and, like, you know, some of the crew members, like one of them getting killed, unfortunately, and, well, more xenomorphs start popping up. But at one point, a flare is shot in the air, and they're rescued and saved by those xenomorphs. The xenomorphs retreat, and whom it was that saved them, well, we find out a little bit later on, and when the mysterious figure tells the crew of the Covenant to follow him, and they do so. And then, sure enough, because coming to this, like, hideout, and we see that this mysterious cloaked figure with a hood, well, it's David, yeah, because we find out that, because David, and along with Dr. Shaw, because they made it to the planet, and they do discover that, yeah, because, you know, that Dr. Shaw was present early on because Daniels discovered, like, a name tag and such, you know, that had Dr. Shaw's name, and found a portrait of Dr. Shaw and, you know, her love interest from Prometheus. Yeah, there's a portrait of them. And, yeah, so again, David, he's all right, but sadly we find out that Dr. Shaw was sadly killed in the crash because, according to David, they crashed on the fourth planet. And ever since then, 10 years go by, and, well, now that the crew of the Covenant have come, and David going on and explaining to them what has been going on, you know, for 10 years, and the more information we get from David, or so we think, yeah, but until we get to that, and with David in this, but yeah. And you know what, because Michael Fassbender, again, as I said, playing both androids in this Alien film, he was really good, especially when there's a lot of scenes where both of them are on screen, both androids, David and Walter, and the performance that Michael Fassbender gave to those two androids, slight different personalities between the two of them, yeah. And it seems like the surviving crew members of the Covenant are okay for now. But as for the remaining crew members on the main ship, the Covenant, out in space, well, they're still all right. They receive information later on, and, well, because the crew members down on the planet's surface, they're having trouble trying to contact the Covenant, especially, we did see this early on, and right before they made their way down to the fourth planet's atmosphere, we saw some thunderstorms and such, and yeah, because on the fourth planet, those storms, according to David, very bad, and, well, they would have trouble trying to contact and get a signal from the Covenant ship. Maybe, like, for about, like, a few weeks or a month, if they were to try to get a signal and contact the Covenant, yeah. And even, like, at times, T, short for Tennessee, his nickname, getting worried, and, well, he is determined to go down to the planet's atmosphere, and, well, because, you know, he's worried about his wife, and, you know, this was, I mean, Ricks and Upworth, they understood T, but Upworth telling T that, you know, they have to focus, and, well, technically, for now, T's in charge of the Covenant ship. Also, the Covenant ship having the main computer, Mother, yeah. Mother, the voice of the Mother on the Covenant, was voiced by L'Oreal King? I think, yeah, I'm saying that right, yeah. So, she's the voice of Mother on the Covenant ship, yeah, and she was pretty good. And, well, kind of the same thing as, like, how Mother was in the first Alien film, like, yeah, you know. Anyways, so, the time that the, you know, surviving Covenant crew members spend down on the planet's atmosphere, and moments between them, especially, like, a couple of moments that like, sequences, I should say, for David and Walter. Like, there's one sequence where, yeah, David is teaching Walter how to play the flute. And there's a moment between Daniels and Orium. By this point, Orium, he feels guilty, and telling Daniels that she was right. This was a bad idea. I mean, how was he really supposed to know? How was everybody of the crew of the Covenant, how are they really supposed to know what was going to happen until now? And Daniel's assuring him, like, not to blame himself and so on. And, well, she tells him that, they need his expertise, his guidance and faith and stuff like that. Yeah. Because sure enough, and a little later on, and while they're hiding, because things slowly but surely not looking good for them. Before I get to that, because another moment between David and Walter, because each of them, starting with David, because I think quoting poetry or something like that, and we get a flashback where we see that what the fourth planet was like with the engineer aliens. When David and Dr. Shaw arrive, something happened, because when they were in that engineer ship and they made their way to the planet, and as it was established at the end of Prometheus, they were to travel to that planet, the engineer aliens, because something happened where something was released from the ship that they were in, and David was there to witness it, the doors opened and something was released, and basically wiping out the existence of those aliens, those engineer aliens, just burning them and just so on. Oh my gosh. And I think when we get an up-close shot of David as he's witnessing this, you can just about see water in his eyes, I'm almost about to shed tears and such. I did notice that very clearly. And we even see the tombstone of Elizabeth Shaw. Yeah, Elizabeth Shaw. And by the way, I'll go ahead and mention this because Noomi Rapace, if I'm saying her full name right, she technically, reprises the role of Dr. Elizabeth Shaw, uncredited, for just a few scenes. And, we would technically see the body of Elizabeth Shaw very later on in the film, but until I get to that. And, something about David, because it seemed like at the end of Prometheus, he seemed to have become a much better, trustworthy android, right? Again, until I get to that. Okay, but coming back to what I was about to say, more hell breaking loose, that stuff, because there's the surviving crew members of the Covenant on the planet's surface atmosphere. One of them, that being Rosenthal, she's kind of washing up and such, when at one point, creeping up at her is one of those now full-grown xenomorphs that are white. Their skin is white, and creeping up towards her, and because she can see that it was right up to her, and she was kind of slowly trying to reach for her gun, but too late, because unfortunately and sadly, the xenomorph, the white xenomorph, just munches on her neck, and sadly, that's it for Rosenthal. Yep, she lost. So, and a little, I think, they can hear the screaming and such, and, because they were going to go and investigate, but Orman, he wanted to do this, and also for him to think and stuff like that, what he said. And, coming back to the room, what happened to poor Rosenthal, her head in a pool of water, because, her head was decapitated and we could see her lifeless body and such, and the white xenomorph munching on it, while then at one point, David pops up and staring at the white xenomorph, and what is David thinking? Is he, it seems he's asking to be killed and murdered by the white xenomorph, but that's not what happens. Because the white xenomorph approaches David calmly, and, Orem, he shows up, and, with a weapon, with a gun, of course, and with the green laser pointer, and David telling Orem not to shoot the white xenomorph, David is trying to, basically is communicating with the white xenomorph, and the white xenomorph communicating back. But then, Orem, he does shoot the white xenomorph, and David, because, this is kind of the first time we see some emotion from David, no! And it was trusting me, and stuff like that. And Orem wants answers and questions from David, and thus David shows and takes Orem to further through the hidden hideout and such, and technically, according to David, he became a zoologist and so on. Like, becoming a zoologist of these alien creatures, the xenomorphs, giving Orium more information. And then further down below, David taking Orium to this one room where we finally see those eggs. And David assuring Orym that everything's okay, nothing bad is going to happen, being near those eggs. And then, well, one egg, starts to open. Orym looking into it and, should have seen this coming. A face hugger then, lands and goes for Orym's face. And, yeah. And David just allowing this. Again, something very odd about David, and again, what he was like at the very end of Prometheus, and now up to this. Yeah, something's not quite right with David. Also, I'd like to point this out. I can't forget to mention this because when they first met David, well, he had almost long hair, and there was one scene where we saw David. He was singing, and he was cutting his hair with scissors. Yeah, and then he went back to short hair. Although, how did he go, his hair was blonde. How did he quickly, after cutting his hair, he quickly went back to dark brown hair, and just like how Walter's hair is, the color of Walter's hair. I mean, the movie doesn't explain it. I mean, yes, David is an android, but again, they don't explain it. But I guess that really doesn't matter. All right, but anyways, and to speed things up still, because, yeah, poor Orym, because it's obvious, because the facehugger got Orym, he's going to meet his demise and such. And, yeah, because what happens next is, well, Orym, he wakes up, and he can see David. David is right there. But, well, sure enough, something bursts out of his chest, and, of course, that being a xenomorph. And the xenomorph that was just now born, well, didn't take it that long to, communicate with David and mimic David's movements and such. And, well, because the other surviving crew members of Covenant, in search for both Rosenthal and now Orym, well, because what Daniels discovers at one point, and actually, because, even, two of the crew members, that being... yeah, Cole and also it was which one? Who was it? Which one was it again? Yeah, Loop. Yeah, because them investigating, even Walter, because him confronting David at one point, because Walter was getting suspicious at a certain point about David. And then, of course, when Walter finds out and he confronts David, well, because, the dialogue that David gives, and when he gets up close to Walter, then at one point, David kisses Walter on the lips, and then after that, well, the flute that he had in his hands, stabbing right into Walter's neck, and Walter, this quick look, his eyes rolling up, and then he just, in that, pose and such, and it seems like that probably Walter's defeated, and because of what David did, well, and, okay, so, and coming back to, Daniels, well, because what she discovers, and she learns the truth about David, and she discovers and sees, yeah, because they discover, and, yeah, mainly Daniels, the body of Elizabeth Shaw, and it turns out she didn't die from the crash. Clearly, David did something to her. Very disturbing, and when we see the lifeless body of Elizabeth Shaw, holy cow. Yeah, and as for, Lope and Cole, because again, when them trying to search for, Rosenthal and Orym, well, they do discover Rosenthal, and then when they discover Orym, one of them discovers Orym, his lifeless body, and sure enough, because, well, they come face to face with now a full-grown xenomorph, obviously that came through the chest of Orym, and the xenomorph, attacking them, even like when, actually, yeah, because the facehugger was the first one that was attacking them. Yeah, it got on Lope, was rescued by Cole, but some of the acid got on, poor Lope's face, and then, yeah, that's when the Xenomorph shows up, and yeah, again, it never fails, like, when the humans struggle and fight against the Xenomorphs, yeah, and sometimes they lose, or sometimes they get very wounded by the acid, the drops of the acid, and as I've explained about the acid, and you know how the acid from the Xenomorphs, how that works, so, but, yeah, eventually, because both of them, they get out, well, only one of them, I just now remember, because, yeah, sadly, Cole, he meets his demise, but thankfully Loop, even though he's very burned on this side of the face, he gets out of there. And as for Daniels, well, her coming face-to-face with David, and her trying to fight with David, but she's losing. Even like what David did to Walter, kissing her, and well, sure enough, Daniels is rescued by Walter. Walter's okay. He did not get killed and destroyed by David. Well, and when a fight sequence happens between Walter and David, android versus android, and Walter establishing David that the technology of the androids from the Weyland Company have come advanced and such since for him 10 years ago. True. Yeah, just a really cool fight sequence between both Michael Fassbenders, two Michael Fassbenders, well, and, just one, playing two androids. And yeah, because again, they did a great job with the visual effects and just having two Michael Fassbenders interacting and almost sometimes touching each other. And well, when, David helped Walter play the flute, and, when David kissed Walter, and them fighting and so on. And at one point, Walter is winning. He's defeating David. Also, can't forget to mention this because early on, Walter saved Daniels, and he lost one of his hands from rescuing Daniels. And that shows because, well, Walter, being a trustworthy android and, risking his life and such to rescue a human. Yeah, so of course, couldn't forget to mention that, yeah, Walter lost a hand, and yeah, again, the fight between David and Walter seems to be winning, beating the crap out of David with a rock, but yeah, and we don't see what happens when it seems like Walter is winning, but, well, David, he was trying to reach for a knife and such, so we don't see what happens next, because, well, when it seems like Walter's winning, and right as David was grabbing a knife, well, we then come to the last two survivors, alongside with the android of the Covenant on the planet's atmosphere. Well, because by this point, the remaining crew of the Covenant ship in space, they finally got in contact. They did get in contact with the crew on the planet's atmosphere, and yeah, because they got a good signal, and T was just going to do whatever it takes to fight the storms and get down to the planet's atmosphere to help them out, and which, yeah, they successfully did so. Well, and T, he took another one of those shuttlecrafts down to the planet's atmosphere, and yeah, going to save Daniels, Lope, and also Walter, because, well, by this point, we do see Walter, catching up to Daniels and Orem, and T is right there for them to jump on the ship, but, well, right behind the three of them is the Xenomorph, the full-grown Xenomorph that came through Orem's chest. So the Xenomorph trying to chase and catch up to Walter, Daniels, and Lope. And that sequence when, yeah, they do get on the shuttle and everything seems to be okay now. Well, not for long because, well, the Xenomorph jumped on the shuttle and is trying to attack and get to the crew. And, well, it's up to Daniels because she steps outside on top of the shuttle trying to take on the Xenomorph. And, well, because even, also, Walter attending to Lope's wounds, and Daniels, because her taking on the Xenomorph, and at one point, she has an idea and informs T to activate the claw that's a part of the shuttle, but according to T, by doing so, the shuttle will be unbalanced, but it's the best option and only way to possibly defeat the Xenomorph. And yeah, so using the claw, and it successfully works, crushing the living daylights out of the Xenomorph, and parts of the Xenomorph, like, kind of like split in half, like dropping and so on, and getting that claw back into position and so on, and now the ship is now balancing good and so on, yeah. And, well, everything seems to be going pretty well now, and they get back to the Covenant ship. And by the way, because when the Covenant ship did receive contact from the crew on the planet's atmosphere, a very sad moment when T got news and information that his wife, sadly, was lost. And, yeah, it was very sad for him, and, well, he still had to stick to duty and just proceed, yeah, and which he did so. And by the way, because, yeah, T was a pretty good character, and because knowing music and, kind of like an opera geek or whatever, so, and even when, like, yeah, because attending Lope's wounds, and T making a comment on Lope because he looks like the Phantom of the Opera, and Upworth, like, her response on this, like, an opera geek and such, and T didn't realize that Phantom of the Opera is a musical, okay? So, anyways, so then, well, again, things seem to be going pretty good, and, there's a moment between T and Daniels, and by this point, Daniels is now the captain of the Covenant ship, rightfully so. Well, we do see like a shot of a group picture of the entire crew of the Covenant, and when sadly, pretty much all of them, they lost their lives, we know, except for a few. And again, because Daniels is now taking part of the captain. According to T, he shot off Mother, and also because, like, I think, yeah, because to put it this, Mother was kind of getting them on their nerves because of storm reports of the fourth planet and such, yeah. And then just a little later, well, because Walter interacts with Mother at one point, and then at one point, well, an alarm goes off, and now Captain Daniels is informed by Mother to come to the bridge, and because something, like, basically commotion is going on the ship, and there's an unidentified life form on the Covenant ship, and oh boy, because I don't think it takes her that long, and especially for us audience, to know what the unidentified life form is. And, well, because, yeah, they go to the medical room where Lope was left there, and, well, Lope, resting and such, and because of his wounds, well, they quickly realize, T and Daniels, that, well, there was something inside of Lope, because, yeah, almost forgot to mention this, early on, when Lope and Cole were attacked by a facehugger, well, the facehugger did lunge on Lope's face. We didn't get that much, and we are to assume that, yeah, because thankfully it got off of him and didn't get a chance to, put what we know would inside of Lope, yeah. But apparently, I guess the facehugger was quick enough to do so. So now, this now born Xenomorph is now roaming through the ship of the Covenant. And also, yeah, Walter is back on the bridge because he's watching the monitors, and he does help out Daniels and T a little later because of closing the doors and so on. And, well, the only two that do not know about, the presence of the Xenomorph are Rix and Upworth, because when we come to Rix and Upworth, both of them are taking a shower, and they were just about to have intercourse, when that is completely interrupted when the Xenomorph shows up, and we see its tail, and, well, even Upworth was noticing this behind them, yeah, the Xenomorph, and, well, the tail of the Xenomorph stabbing right through Rix's mouth completely, murdering Rix completely, and sadly, that's it for Rix. And then we see the Xenomorph approaching poor Upworth, and, well, we don't see it, but we can hear her screams through the hallway, and, well, yeah, sadly, for both Rix and Upworth, they meet their demise, sadly. And I think it's obvious because, well, because they were about to have intercourse during shower time. It seems as though, like, yeah, there was a relationship going on between both of them. It's unfortunate, because what happens to both of them? And, well, because Daniels and T, they're technically the only two remaining humans on the Covenant, besides Walter, because, well, Walter's an android. They go and see the commotion, and, well, they discover and see the lifeless bodies of both Rix and Upworth, and now it's just the two of them, the last two human crew members of Covenant, and now it's up to them to take on the Xenomorph. Alright, and to speed things up, because, yeah, Daniels has Walter, because Walter at the, like, computers and such on the bridge, you know, watching the monitors, and, well, because, doing the doors, because she tells Walter to close certain doors and where the Xenomorph is, because he can see this on the monitors, where the Xenomorph is and where they're at, and yeah, how close the Xenomorph is getting to T and Daniels. And, well, at one point, they put on spacesuits. They're at airlock 16. Yeah, the number 16. And, well, their attempt to blow out the Xenomorph out into space. And them attempting to lock it in one of those, like, vehicles, in which, yeah, Daniels successfully does so, luring the Xenomorph in one of those vehicles, but, as we've seen this a couple times earlier in the film, some of the Xenomorphs, like, trying to break the glass with their heads, and that's what happens. The Xenomorph trying to break the glass, but, you know, they're quick enough to open the airlock and, well, hearing Mother's voice warning, and because of the airlock being open and sending, like, trying to send out the vehicle that has the Xenomorph locked up and trapped, blowing it out into space, but the Xenomorph was quick enough to break out and such, and even Daniels is struggling, and even when, yeah, she's trying to defeat the Xenomorph, well, because, yeah, by this point, the Xenomorph is up top of the vehicle when it's blown out into space, but Daniels being right in front of this other vehicle with pointy spikes, you know, those kind of vehicles with, like, pointy spikes, well, because the Xenomorph jumping, trying to go for Daniels, and Daniels, quick enough to, you know, get out of the way, and for that one vehicle with those pointy things, and the Xenomorph being stabbed by them. When I watched that, I was like, yeah, because I had a feeling where that was going. And of course, there was no way that Daniels would be killed off, and how far she's come. You know, those human characters in the Alien franchise, you know, sometimes, like, those that how far they've come and they survived, yeah, there's just no way. And thankfully, yeah, Daniels and T, they do survive. And the Xenomorph that came out of Lope's chest, and being the only Xenomorph on the Covenant ship, being defeated once and for all, and now everything's good. And so, well, they start to make their destination to, well, where they were supposed to go. And that, of course, being the planet Origa 6, where they plan to, you know, start new life, and with the colony members, people, still in their tubes, in hypersleep and such. Yeah, they've been all right this whole time. T, he's in his cryo tube and such, sent off to hypersleep, and now it's Daniel's turn. She's the last one. And Walter, of course, helping Daniels be put to sleep in hypersleep and such. And right before she goes into hypersleep, when it's closed on her, well, Daniels asks Walter, she asks him if he can help her build the cabin that she, always wanted, her and Jacob to build, cabin in the woods. So she asks Walter, if he'll help her do so. And then Walter then starts smiling, but something about the smile, and Daniel starts to get suspicious, and it doesn't take her that long, and for us audience to realize that's not Walter. That's freaking David. Yeah, it turns out that Walter lost to David. David defeated and murdered Walter. So yeah, Walter was David the whole time. When they started to escape and getting onto the shuttle, defeated that one xenomorph with the claw, and when they got back, and well, yeah, and from there on. So it was David the whole time. And well, there was nothing Daniels could do by this point because, well, off she goes into hypersleep, and that's it. Now, David has full control of the ship, and knowing him, and well, because one important thing to mention that I almost forgot to mention, it's important, because technically, David, in this, he's the devil, and with, having the xenomorphs and such, yeah, because what he would do next, and with the xenomorphs, because, well, there's at one point, like, when he interacts with Mother a little bit, and then, well, he stores away a couple of egg pods, whatever, that contain little baby xenomorphs. He had them inside of him, like, and spitting them out of his mouth. Oh, jeez. And then we get one last shot of the Covenant ship, and David, pretending to be Walter still, giving a log entry and so on the ship's coordinates and destination to the planet they're supposed to go to, but yeah, what David is going to do, I think it's obvious, and jeez. And those colony people that are still in their containers and hypersleep, yeah, because they're doomed. They are doomed. And who knows for, say, Daniels and T. And yeah, what a way to end the movie, because yeah, it just ends off like that, and when we hear David's voice one last time giving that log entry, and yeah, that's how the movie ends. Just what a crazy ending, like what the crap. And well, as I mentioned earlier, because how we would not get a third and fourth, Alien films, following up to Prometheus and Covenant. Again, as I mentioned, it's a shame. I mean, because how Covenant ends off, really? Because that's how it ends off? It's crazy. But also, right before the credits roll, there is a dedication to someone who worked with Ridley Scott. I'll put her name in the text. Yeah, I did check her out because on her IMDb page, she was an assistant, something like that, to I guess for Ridley Scott for the first Gladiator film. Yeah, so couldn't leave out mentioning her, and again, her name being in the text. But yeah, overall, just, yeah, a crazy way to end the film, as I said, David, the main antagonist, winning. Alien Covenant. Yeah, again, I don't think it was that bad. It did not disappoint me. The story, I think, was pretty good. The characters, and I've said this before, when it comes to the Alien films, getting to know the characters and the crew members of any ship and knowing each of them, their personalities, and knowing what they're like, yeah, because Alien Covenant, once again, did a good job on that. And with the funny moments, the emotional moments, yeah, definitely the heavy stuff, and with the emotional stuff, really good. And the violence and slashing, the gore, yeah, Alien Covenant did a good job on that as well. And it never disappoints with the violence and slashing, yeah, and the xenomorphs killing their victims. The music and score, pretty good too, and, as I mentioned, the use of some bits and pieces of music and score from the late legendary Jerry Goldsmith from the first Alien film. Nice to see that again. They used some of that for this. The visual effects, the intenseful stuff, the action, and so on. Yeah, just everything about Alien Covenant, I think, was pretty good. And I'm giving Alien Covenant, I'm kind of going back and forth on this, but yeah, I mean, what the heck? It's really on my mind. And, again, It's not really the best, but it's not god-awful, okay? I'm giving Alien Covenant, 7 out of 10 stars. Yes, 7 out of 10 stars for Alien Covenant. And what about you guys? What did you think of Alien Covenant itself? Do any of you feel the same way as I do? Do you think this wasn't that bad, god-awful? Do you think this was pretty good, better than some of the other Alien films, as I mentioned, and as James Rolfe mentioned, this being better than, say, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, the Alien vs. Predator films, and again, obviously cannot top off the first two Alien films, and for that matter, what Prometheus had to offer. Yeah, because Prometheus is another film in the Alien franchise that's pretty good. Do you like where the story in Alien Covenant was, where it was going, and with the characters, and which were some of your favorite characters in Covenant? Do you like the slashing, and were you getting intense, and did you laugh at the funny moments, and did you get emotional with what happened with these characters? Yeah, just overall, what did you think of Alien Covenant itself, what I've had to say, my review, and what did you think of my review? Leave comments and give this review video a like, as always. And so, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Alien Covenant. More review videos are on the way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video / review. And with that, the Alien review marathon has come to a close / an end. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun reviewing all of the Alien films, and, for the first time, me watching them fully, and thanks to this review marathon. I'm glad to have finally seen all of them, and because I didn't think, because those that were, suckish and such, well, I gave them I had some positive things to say, and of course, again, I know they're not the best, but hey, I'm one of those people that actually don't think they're that bad, but I think especially Alien 3, I would have to agree with pretty much all of you how that turned out, but and at the time, the last two films in the Alien franchise, Prometheus and Covenant, not bad. And also can't forget to mention the Alien vs. Predator films. Yeah, because I had some positive things to say, and I don't think they were that bad at all either. Yeah, just overall, I'm glad to finally have watched all of the films in the Alien franchise, and I can't wait for the next one. So, again, thank you very much for watching, and thanks for joining this journey, of the Alien review marathon. Take care, and until Alien Romulus, peace out.